Now you have to tolerate the Donald Trump. Trump has gone full haul against H1B visas. I think this government had anticipated this or might actually increase the pace of global capacity center hiring in India. Trump land is nuts. Trump is crazy. If you have not been living under a rock, Trump has gone full haul against H1B visas. He is going to create trouble for us friendly Indians and other people who are working in America on that H1B visas. It's really weird because it created a lot of confusion. Here is what Trump said, by the way.
I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here, $100,000 a year for H1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them about the gold card.
They love us. They love us.
Renewals, first times. The company needs to decide, do they want, is that person valuable enough to have $100,000 a year payment to the government, or they should head home and they should go hire an American. The whole idea, it's annual, and it's for total.
Yeah.
It can be a total of 6 years. So $100,000 a year. So either the person is very valuable to the company and America, or they're going to depart and the company's going to hire an American, and that's the point of immigration.
So, in short, this press conference made it look like every H1B person and renewals, every year, the company will have to pay $100,000 to bring in employees so that they can work in America. The whole reason why they did it is to make it economically unviable for American companies to hire foreigners. That's his whole thing. That's the MAGA thing, right? But then 24 hours later, there are some strange clarifications that started coming in. This is Caroline Leavitt, assistant to the president and the 36th White House press secretary. I'm not going to say much about her, but yeah. So this is what she said. To be clear, this is not an annual fee. It is a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. Two, those who already hold H1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. Now, before this clarification happened, there were reports that Indians who were coming back from America to India for festival season started departing en masse because their employers started frantically calling them and saying, boss, don't leave. Otherwise, we won't be able to bring you back. Please don't leave. And so they were departing. They were like, nahi jana hai mere ko nahi jana hai, nikalo mere ko ye plane se, I need to get out. And so confusion. H1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country to the same extent as they normally would. Whatever ability they have to do that is not impacted by yesterday's proclamation. This applies to new visas, only to new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders. It will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle. So this is the clear policy which has come out of the President of the United States face hole, which is being communicated by Caroline Leavitt. So, mota, what do you make out of this? Okay. Mota, I need to tell you one thing. I needed to talk to you about the concept of H1B visa itself. Okay. Simply put, without any legalese, what is H1B visa? It is corporate slavery. Okay. So, American companies, if they hire Americans, they have to pay a lot of money. And they have to give health benefits, and standard of living is high, and they are expensive workers because Americans have priced themselves out of the labor market. So when these tech companies wanted to expand in the 90s and the 2000s, that is when they came up with this concept of H1B visas, when they wanted to import workers from outside. like from India. Indian workers would be like 40% more cheaper than hiring an American worker. As simple as that. Plus, Indian workers are diligent. They don't complain. They're grateful because you let them in this American dreamland. And they get paid peanuts, but still in our country, in India, that peanuts is a lot of money. So it started this insane craze of migration through H1Bs. Now, companies like TCS and Infosys, they were very happy. What they did was they would send workers on temporary visas to places and outsource them, and IT companies would hire them for servicing their products. Okay, so cheap labor, simply, that's why H1B visa came about. Now, why I call it corporate slavery is because if you have an H1B visa, you can continue working for that company. But if you don't work with that company, then your visa goes away. So you have no option but to work for that company and not go anywhere. So it is kind of like bonded labor in a weird way. Okay. Now that is one thing. America needed cheap labor. That's why H1B. Second thing, Indians, because we are Indians, we found many loopholes. Because Indians. So first thing is, we have people who take H1B visas, they get temporary projects and then they go to Americas. And then they start producing children there. It happens. So I have seen people plan their pregnancies around when they would get like an H1B visa in America, because then the children that happen there become American citizens. That's what are anchor babies, right? Now, when Trump came to power, there was insane anger against immigration in general, but there is another sort of anger which is against Indians and Chinese people specifically, because Indians and Chinese people, Asians in general, have been extremely successful in the Americas. They are doctors, they are, as people point out, CEOs, Sundar Pichai type people, Satya Nadella type people. The net worth of all Indians who have moved to America is a lot more than the normal American. Okay, Indians are the richest people in America right now. In UK also, Indians have practically taken over. Canada also, we have practically taken over. It's true. I'm not mincing any words. It's true. We are going to eventually take over the world, but just not in the way that you expect it to. Okay. So there is a whole host of people within America who are desperate for jobs, who are not getting any, and their target is immigrants, especially Indians, which leads to H1Bs, which is why Trump is doing this nonsense. Now, what is happening is that they're going to make labor more expensive, especially when you hire from outside. Will it affect Indian industry, IT industry? Initially, I thought this is going to be a very bad thing for us. Now I'm thinking maybe not. Maybe not. Because I read this article, which I highly recommend you read also. 100,000 H1B Trump card may have just dealt a 60 billion Indian industry a winning hand. Trump's new 100,000 fee on H1B visas has created panic among Indian tech workers, but for India's 60 billion global capacity center industry, it could be a windfall. With US firms facing higher costs for on-site hires, work is likely to stay in India, boosting GCCs, expanding jobs beyond metros, and accelerating the country's push from outsourcing hub to global innovation center. Now, simply put, what is going on is that I think this government had anticipated this, or they were trying to figure out how to get around this. So they created something called global capacity centers, right? Essentially what they're doing is they're allowing other countries' companies to, US firms can open offshore firms in India, wholly owned offshore firms. Right? Which means that a Microsoft can create a offshore firm, which is a global capacity center based firm in India, and they can hire here in India, which means they don't need to transport people to the Americas. Which means this H1B thing, which has happened, might actually increase the pace of global capacity center hiring in India, which is not a bad thing. So, in strange ways, the American companies will now prefer outsourcing their work to India rather than importing cheap labor from India for on-site work. So on-site work is rare. That's what I got the sense of. Now, because of technology, because of all the connectivity and everything, a lot of companies are choosing to hire people from abroad while not exactly bringing them to America. That time is gone. So this H1B visa thing might actually backfire. In a strange way, companies will want to hire more people offshore through this GCC. Okay. Another thing that this article says, which I thought is interesting. So I think Trump is also anticipating shit like this. So they are going to bring in something called the Hire Act. It is halting international relocation of employment bill, which seeks to impose a 25% tax on payments to foreign companies for services consumed in the US. So now if this happens, after the H1B, if the Hire Act is passed, then we are truly wrecked. But there is a chance that this might not happen because a lot of companies, including Google, Microsoft, and all these companies, they like hiring Indian people. They do. They think we are very diligent workers. We are very cheap. Yes, we are. So if they hire someone in India through this GCC process, it's 80% cheaper. But for an Indian worker, it is amazing because currency. Yeah, because the salaries that Americans are willing to pay us are insane for us. So therefore, all these companies will just send off their work offshore now to India. So it might work out in our favor. We might get like a windfall gain as a result. Who knows these things? But then Trump land is nuts. Trump is crazy, so don't believe anything he does and don't believe anything that is happening because 24 hours mein the rules changed, everything changed, people panicked and then they calmed down. Now they might panic again because next week he'll be like, Hire Act, we don't know. Another thing that Trump basically did, he's like, we have discovered cure for autism. Then he's like, while women are pregnant, don't take paracetamol. Welcome to Trump land. Okay, that's it.